Washington. I was incarcerated 17 years. I've been home 12 years in society. I worked various jobs. I worked for the city of North Charleston, got in one incident. Guy jumped on me. I'm an ex-felon. I lose my job, everything. But in 12 years, I've been involved in nausea projects. I've been involved with the funeral home business. I'm a stand-up guy. I strive to do everything right. But in order for us to get right as a people, we got to love each other first before they do anything. We divide.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? We don't love ourselves, we don't love us. The reason why we have these results, all the fathers out of the homes. When the fathers out of the homes, the kids gonna do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Mothers can't do it by themselves. So when you got brothers like me who get out of prison, meet somebody that's decent, strive to make a family. And what happens? We get laid off our job because we can't support our family. Then come peer pressure from the parole officer. That go to say, they may be a made man. We got to start investing in our own people, showing each other love and respect. Our churches need to come together.
Yes.
We got to stop this. Every week we hear drive-by shooting. Young brothers killing young sisters. Playing games. This got to stop. We gonna have this meeting every day, every week, day over, day after day, same results. I ain't talking about it. I've been here 12 years. I get on the phone and beg legislators to find me a job. What's up, man? I gotta get a job. Do the right thing.
My name is Emmanuel Ferguson, and I'm sitting up here because I'm running for Senate. All right, you're going to hear everybody, all the other candidates probably come up here and talk to you. But I want to talk to you about something else as well. I'm an attorney here in Charleston County. I work for the solicitor's office. I'm an assistant solicitor. Before that, I was a teacher at Military Management Academy. And before that, I was a student teacher at Burke High School. I've seen racial profiling. I've seen students come to school high. I've seen students come to school drunk. And I want to shed some light on why we're here today, because there are two issues at play. One is whether or not marijuana should be illegal. And two, how we can stop racial profiling. Those are not one and the same. Because let me ask you this. If marijuana was legal, would racial profiling stop? No. If marijuana was legal, would our schools stop being failing schools? No. It might get worse. The kid sitting next to your kid might be high because he can get easier access to marijuana. So before we say and we jump on this ACLU bandwagon of let's make marijuana legal, let's think about what would really happen. That's not going to stop. That's not going to stop racial profiling. Whether or not you believe marijuana should or should not be legal, that is not going to stop the issues here. We need someone with the legal training, someone who had the experience in law enforcement, and someone who has been in those schools to lead us. It's a new era. We always tell our young people to stand up and be counted. Give us that chance. My name is Emmanuel Ferguson, and I want to work for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not an issue of many variables, but the variable is not to look at this in the afternoon, it's the variable of racism in the workplace. When you trying to get a career job, and you face a ceiling, cold ceiling. How many out there that hope has been dashed? So when your hope dashed, some people turn to dope for the cope. It's escapism. And it's escapism that you see, that's noticeable to you in our community. That maybe not as noticeable in communities where employment is not as challenged. And I'm just thinking that if we look at this thing, we have to look at this thing holistically. Employment, opportunity, as well as the rest.
We have to deal with facts. We are living in a society right now that you are guilty as soon as the accusation begins. That's right. They call allegation now facts, proof. If someone say, they saw me robbing a bank. Police officer that takes that report is gonna come and arrest me. Lack of due process, lack of investigation, you're in jail. You're going before a bond court. The magistrate is gonna look at all of the paperwork that is said, and they're gonna just go by that paperwork. There's no proof, there hasn't been any investigation. It's only the person that did the arrest, and he's not even there. You've got Miranda rights, but when you look at these young men going before in bond court, they don't have a lawyer. They're there by themselves. They should have had the opportunity to be represented by an attorney. That attorney should have been able to say, wait a minute, they don't have any proof. They didn't even do an investigation. So how can you go ahead and put this man on $50,000 bond? He don't have $50. So he can't get an attorney, but we're gonna tell you while you're in bond court, you fill out the application for an attorney. It might be 2 months before somebody contact you. You're sitting in jail all of that time. Then, who do they give you? They give you public defender. He's gonna work right along with the solicitor, because both of them are right up under the solicitor. The solicitor is their boss. They look at the paperwork, they see all of the irregularities, but they're not gonna go against the solicitor and assistant solicitor. So what do? They try to coerce you. If you admit to this, if you admit that you did something, we'll be able to get you off. So that takes the heat off the police officer that did not do the investigation, but arrested you. It takes the heat off of everybody else. So we got to get down to the nitty gritty, study the law.
Amen.
Find out your rights. The ignorance of you not knowing the law is an advantage to them.
Amen.
I got Mr. Warren ticket for this. This is on my license tag on the back of my car. And I thought as long as the state and the year, all this is showing, it's all right. And another reason I'm stopping is because in this area, I was on Dorchester Road, going towards Rivers Avenue near the hair service station. This was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the reason I'm stopping because in this area, it's high crime. That's what they've been. I mean, you go down Dorchester Road, you see Christmas tree light more than even during the night. You see blue lights. And that same policeman in different vehicles. I want you to. I'm 70 years old. I have a Dodge van. It's a Dodge van. A Toyota van. Not the 22-inch tires on this regular old man vehicle. I have 2 vehicles and I have a Ford Explorer. The same police officer, this was different vehicles, the same police officer, he followed me. I was headed towards Dorchester, one Dorchester and going towards Gerald's Retail. I made a right turn there. From where the Greyhound bus station is, going towards Gerald's Retail, Constitution Avenue. He followed me from that area all the way around to, and he stopped me once I got to Constitution Avenue. So he asked me, so where are you going? I said, well, to my church brother's house. And it took them, I don't know if he wanted to me to get out and say, it took him 20 minutes for him just to give another warning because my third brake light was out.
What I would ask is would you support? There's something called the veterans, there's something called the drug court, where they get a mentor and they try to work them back into society and take the charge off. It's much like PPR.
Specifically about it, veterans.
Yes, sir, and I'm not talking about veterans, I'm talking about civilians, because I did it for 3 years of civilians. I know we do, but we need a way to be able to remove that first offense so that the guy doesn't have to go back and sell drugs again to make a dime on a doctor. And it really would be nice if the police department would support that kind of a program to try and get that first offender out of that process. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Minister John Henry, and I'm from Georgetown, South Carolina. We all know what the problems is. we need to start addressing the solution. We're going round and round in a circle. I say that to say this, how negative influences plague our community. We do not hear enough positive things coming out of our community. If you start, and I'm saying this to the media, if you stop with all this negativity because we're tired of it.
Yes.
We want to hear more positive things. We are activists. We sick and tired of the old running around game. We can't be pointing blames at this person and that organization. Come up now with a solution. Thank you.
Mr. Cannon, I haven't had a chance to meet you publicly, but the fact that you and your deputies are here says a lot. So I have to give you and them credit because you could have easily blown this off and made up any kind of story or lie and not been here. So the fact that you were sitting here says that it says that you're at least sensitive to this issue. I just want to address something that you were making a comment, and I'm paraphrasing it because I can't remember verbatim. You were talking about some of the young black males in the videos with guns and drugs. This is a suggestion, and Chief Mullen and I, we talked about this because we talk as man to man, husbands, fathers. And I say this a lot, and a lot of this really hits home for me with the story about Trayvon Martin. I urge law enforcement, because you're in a unique position with unique power. Those of us that have platforms and power, I feel a special responsibility comes with that. As a human, and Chief Mullen and I talked about this. And I'm not saying that you haven't done this with your officers, because you may have. But it's when they're dealing with young black men, since the subject came up, and that's one of the big problems here with this whole study in terms of who's being victimized. If not just you officers, but people can see someone else's child the way they see their child. If George Zimmerman could have looked at Trayvon Martin and saw him as his little brother or his child, if he could have looked at Trayvon Martin and realized that the CEO of Facebook dresses exactly like Trayvon Martin might not be dead.
I'd like to give accolades to all of the pastors and going back to the 60s and 50s. There was always God people who stood, who took charge, who made the difference. I'm glad finally that we as black people, we are finally getting back to this point where we as ministers, we are finally beginning to stand up like we should be doing and take control and stand up and speak for our people. Mr. Cannon, I'm going to ask a question. I know you said that there's policy in place, but what happens when you have a bad supervisor? When you have a supervisor that's not doing his or her job. Most of the time when you do your complaint, the results, nothing. That's why even though we tell people to make their complaint, they always say, well, why should I complain? Nothing results from it. We got these same officers that got a lot of complaints on them, but still yet they can't abide. One of the questions that always should be asked when you hire a new recruit, do you have issue with people of other color? So it's not just here in Charleston. It's all over the world that black people, we going through the same scenario. So it's time that we as black people, but we have to do a better job with our supervisors.
On the board.